So we're doing Halachot Shabbat. Somebody has a lot of flies in the house, a lot of mosquitoes. Is he allowed to spray them on Shabbat? Right? Or it's considered like killing them. And we learned that killing animals on Shabbat, right? Stepping on them, killing them, spraying them, it's considered tzad. No, it's considered netilat neshama, taking away a soul, right? Like shochet, like you slaughter. In Bet HaMikdash, they used to slaughter, right? Slaughtering is netilat neshama. What? Yeah, but over here you're speaking about specifically Shabbat. Are you allowed to do it? Because if it's on the weekdays, right, and they really bother you and they sting you and everything, you're allowed to kill them. The question is, what do you do on Shabbat? So he says over here, Asur lerasses b'Shabbat tarsis neged yishim yeshurot aleim. You're not allowed to spray directly on the mosquitoes, on the flies, on Shabbat. There's a period where you have a lot of flies in the house, right? In the springtime, this is when they start multiplying, right? And it annoys people, right? You're not allowed to spray them directly. Why? Share hu kimamitam be'adayim. That's called killing them directly, which is not allowed. Ulam. Yes, because it's not doing it directly. The blue light, right? They get attracted to it, they zap them, and they die. It's okay, right? But he says, mutar lerasses b'chalal hacheder shelo keneged tushim. You're allowed to spray the room. And in the room, they catch up to it and they die. But it's called indirect action. Right? It's called grama. Indirect action. It's grama. And it says over here, mutar lerasses b'cheder kelev richam. But he says, yashir chalom patuach shedarko yuchal livrach chutza. When they see they feel the spray, they try to run out. Leave them a possibility to run out. So open a little bit the window, so they'll be able to run out of the window. Okay? וגם אז, אם יקרה שימותו חלק מהיתושים, and even then, if some of them die, אין בזה גדר פסיק רשע, that's not considered you killed them, because you gave them a chance to run away also. Okay? Next halacha. Sometimes you open the toilet, right? And what do you see inside? Inside the toilet you see flies. Those little black flies. Are you allowed to flush down the toilet when you know the water is going to for sure go over them and kill them? Is this considered a direct action? It says over here, Charakim הנמצאים בחלל האסלה. They're inside the toilet. מותר להוריד את המים כדי לשטוף את האסלה. You're allowed to flush down the water. Now, you have to understand, you're not doing them to kill them. If you're doing it with the intention to kill them, you're not allowed. Just the toilet is dirty. You're trying to clean the toilet, right? So out of normal things, you want to flush the water, right? The Gemara says, if you do something disgusting, and your friend gets disgusted, atid liten et adin. The Gemara in Chagiga Daf Hey says, if you do something disgusting, what is disgusting? You go to the bathroom, you don't flush the water. The next person coming after you is disgusted, right? Atid liten et adin. Or sitting by the table, the Gemara says you're sitting by the table and there's a fly and a mosquito and you smash it, right? And then you see the blood and everything, and your friend next to you got disgusted, right? Atid liten et adin. You're going to be accountable for that. Bashamayim, okay? As עכשיו, I'm not going to leave the dirty bowl with the thing, because I want to flush the water. Says Rav Vadia, even there's flies in the bowl over there, מותר להוריד את המים כדי לשטוף את האסלה. You're allowed to wash and rinse the bowl. כי אין זה פסיק רשע שימותו החרקים. First of all, they can fly away. First of all. ואף אם ודאי ימותו, and even if they can't run away, and they're for sure going to die, אין זו מלאכה הצריכה לגופה. It's not something needed, right? The Gemara says, if you dig a hole in Shabbat in the backyard, right? Why would people dig holes? Normally, they dig holes, right?
To plant something.
Because you want to plant, you want seeds, you need the pit for something, you want to put a pole in the... Let's say you dig, but you do not need the hole. You need the afar, you need the earth, right? החופר גומה ואינו צריך אלא לעפרה. He digs a hole, but he needs the earth, right? Now, what's the prohibition? Digging the hole. What prohibition is this? Choresh, boneh, right? But you don't need the hole. You're not going to use the hole. You basically need the earth, right? זו מלאכה שאינה צריכה לגופה ופטור. It's a מלאכה. You did something, אבל לא צריך לגופה. I do not need it.
So why are you doing it?
Because I need the earth. I need the afar, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, it's מותר. זה לא מותר, סליחה, זה פטור, אבל אסור.
אבל אסור בשבת.
יפה. So anything you're going to do, and you don't need it really, the purpose of it, you'll be patur אבל אסור. Example, over here, when you flash the water, right? And the flies die with the water, right? Do I need them to die? I don't care. Let them fly away. Let them fly away. What do I need really? Just to flush the water, to clean the bowl, right? So it's lo legufa. It's not for the sake of killing them, right? Or drowning them, or whatever you want to call it, right? So מלאכה שייכה לגופה, נחשב כפסיק רשע דלא ניחא. I'm not even interested with it. בדרבנן, and it says over here, and since you cannot leave the bowl dirty as is, and it's kavod haberiyot, it's the kavod, for it's the right, it's something for to respect others, mutar. You'll be allowed to do that. Next halacha, Yudalet. Of anatum bekluv. You have birds, and each bird has different type of food. Your birds eats live worms. So in the middle of the week, you have no problem to give them, right? You give them worms. What about Shabbat? You're giving them worm, and they're going to eat the worm, and the worm is going to die. Mutar tolaim, latet tolaim. Says over here, O fanatuv bekluv, a bird that's in a cage. Ve'eno ochel ela rachashim vetolaim. It eats only worms. It does not eat seeds. It does not eat grass. It does not eat all the stuff. Only worms. So you have to give it worms, right? What do you do on Shabbat? Mutar. לתת לפניהם אף רחשים ותולעים חיים. You're allowed to give live worms, אף על פי שגורם להריגתם. Listen, maybe you should kill the worms before Shabbat and serve them dead on Shabbat. Like this, you didn't kill them on Shabbat. No need. You can give it live. You can give them live in front of the birds. Why? It says, גרמה מותרת במקום צער בעלי חיים. This bird, if it's not going to eat the worm, is going to suffer. And it's in your hands. You are responsible for this bird. It means it depends on you, right? So I'm not killing the worm. I'm just putting it in front of the bird, and the bird is eating it from the cage, right? It's mutar. Now, rega. There's another problem. Are you allowed to touch a worm on Shabbat? It's muktzeh. We said we're not allowed to pet animals on Shabbat. You're not allowed to pet your dog, not your cat, right? So it's muktzeh. How are you touching the worm to give it to your animal? Huh? No, you're taking it.
Still.
You could, but let's say you do it not directly.
You do with a klisheni.
Klisheni, that's what he said. So he says, אין בטלטול התולעים חשש מוקצה. Why? הואיל והעוף סגור בכלוב ומזונותיו עליו. Right? It says, because you need it. You need the worm. You're not allowed to touch a pet because a pet doesn't serve for anything. What are you going to do with the dog Shabbat? So why are you petting it? What do you do with the cat? Right? Why are you petting it? But if I need the animal for a purpose, you're allowed to give it. So in this case, you were allowed to touch the worms even and to give it to the animal because the bird is locked in a cage and it depends on you. Right? In this case, the worm is for a purpose and it's not muktzeh. It says over here, a mouse which is trapped in a trap. ובשבת רוצים לפתוח את המלכודת לפני החתול כדי שיאכל את העכבר. אסור לפותחה בסמוך מאוד לפני החתול. The mouse is still alive. He's in a trap, right? You just want to release the mouse so your cat should eat it, right? So it says over here, you're not allowed to open the trap next to the cat. Why? Because this is considered killing it. Because the cat is right there, right? So you tell the cat, go around the corner. Come back, right? Right? And then, mutar, it's a little bit far. מותר לפתוח במרחק מסוים מפי החתול. You're allowed to open it a little far from the cat. The cat sees it and he runs after it, right? Now the mouse can run away. So it's not psik reshe, right? And the cat catches it, it's grama. And then will be a mutar to do so on Shabbat.
So, Rabbi, if you're sitting somewhere and there's a mosquito on you, literally on you,
Right.
sucking you already at that point, are you allowed to smack it
So אסור להרוג פרעוש, ואם הוא על בשרו ועוקצו, if he bites you, it's in the middle of biting you, you're allowed to take it with your hands, but not kill it. Flick it. No, flicking it's not killing him. Not really. Flicking it's not killing it, right? If he dies, he dies. But you're supposed to flick it. Or like move your hand so it flies away. But you're not allowed to kill it, right? That's what he says in the previous halakha. You're not allowed to kill mosquitoes even though they bite you, unfortunately, on Shabbat, unless it's a dangerous fly, a dangerous mosquito. Some mosquitoes carry diseases, right? So if you're in a disease zone, like they tell you, oh, in this zone, all the mosquitoes are dangerous, right? Baruch Hashem. Yeah.
But isn't there a thing about bees in your sukkah? You're allowed to catch them.
No, not to catch them.
What do you do with bees?
You buy a bee, like there's a bee trap, and you hang it to the sukkah, and they go to the bee trap by themselves. Let's finish off over here. It says over here, what about cheese with worms? Right? Wormy cheese. Camembert.
Go to the garbage.
Camembert.
Camembert.
Camembert is a blue cheese.
French cheese.
And this cheese has worms inside. He says, gvina sheyesh בה תולעים. Some people love it. Tsarfati, if you're Frenchy and you want to eat cheese, something delicious. So he says over here, גבינה שיש בה תולעים, מותר לאוכלה אפילו בשבת. כי הואיל והבאתה מן השומן שבגבינה, ולא דרך פיריה וריביה, לפיכך אין איסור להורגם בפיו בשעת אכילתו. Over here I have to explain to you. The Gemara says, you're allowed to kill lice on Shabbat. Why? Because lice do not reproduce from male and female. They reproduce from moisture. They say today, that's the Gemara. They say today it's not the same thing, right? They say today the lice do reproduce because they have the eggs, but in the Gemara time, the lice were reproduced from moisture. So therefore, since it's not a product of male and female, right? So it's not considered like a cow that you slaughter or a goat that you slaughter. So it does not go into the category of shchita. Now, today, lice is different. But the cheese, how did the worms get into the cheese? It's in your fridge. It's in the supermarket. They didn't get from this is a cheese which is made with, right? Because the cheese is aged. And it ages, and as it ages, the moisture of the cheese brings out worms. It's like fruits. You'll be allowed to eat a worm in a fruit, right? If the worm came out of the fruit.
But you're not allowed to eat worms, period.
Not allowed to eat worms. Not allowed. Right, for sure not.
Shiratzim.
But shiratzim that got born from the moisture of the air, right? So, and we're not going to go, there's a parash, lo parash, came out of the fruit, came out. In this case, in the cheese, let's concentrate on the cheese over here. In this cheese case, the worms, they are born from the cheese, from the moisture of the cheese. Since they are not produced from male and female, zachar v'nekeva, right? Says, פריה וריביה, לפיכך אין איסור להורגם בפיו בשעת אכילתו. You're allowed to eat it, and it's allowed to chew them and kill them, right? Because it's not considered a being like chai, tzur chai. It's alive, but it's not a tzur chai mizachar v'nekeva. In this case, it will be like the case of the lice in the Gemara, and be allowed. Now, a lot of people, you show them the cheese with the worms, they don't want to even look at it, right? They're going to take it, they're going to put it in the garbage. Huh?
It makes no sense.
No, tell me what makes no sense.
You're allowed all of a sudden to eat worms even if you...
Again, what worms the Torah tells us to eat?
So they're not considered worms, but they are worms.
Yeah, you see it as a worm, but the Torah doesn't call it a worm. It's a bacteria.
It's like this joke that someone says that you can eat pork that is kosher if you put it in a pot that is 60 times bigger. So all of a sudden the pork is kosher.
No, this is not.
It's the same
No,
trick.
no, it's not a trick. Again, I'm explaining to you that. Okay, let's go back in the temple. Okay, where they did the 39 melachot. One of them was shechita, slaughtering, right? What did they slaughter? Cows, bulls, sheep. All those things are reproduced, right, from male and female. So everything we learn on Shabbat not to do has to be learned from the Mishkan. So the Gemara is teaching us, it's not like a rabbi's commentary, it's a Gemara. It's Torah, it's coming directly from Sinai. So the Gemara is teaching us, when you have something which did not come from a reproduction of male and female, according to the Torah, there's no Isur Shchita, there's no Isur killing it. Because according to the Torah, it's not considered something which is Chai. Yes, it's live, it's moving, whatever you call it, right? It's like, I tell you, you know the Maharal Miprag? You heard about him 350 years ago? He created the golem. Did you hear the golem? Right? People in the modern world call it Frankenstein. Right? Frankenstein is a story based on the golem of Maharal Miprag. So basically, he took a book called Sefer Yetzirah, and he created the golem. The golem was, if you look at it, it looks like a man. It would go, the only thing, this golem didn't speak. Why didn't he speak? Because he has no neshama. He's moving, he gets commands, you can tell him, go, bring me this, go this. Why did the Maharal Miprag create the golem? Because in this time there's a lot of programs against the Jews. They used to say that Jews use blood to eat, and Jews bake their matzot with blood. And they used to say they use the matzot, they used to kill Christians to use their blood to make matzot. Shtuyot. Okay? But that's what they used to say. So what did they used to do? They used to go and kidnap Goyish kids, Christian kids, slaughter them, throw them in the backyard of a Jew randomly, and come the whole community, oh, this guy is missing, he's missing. Oh, he found him here, we have to kill the Jews. They used to do that. There was a lot of this. So the Maharal Miprag decided to protect the Jewish community. With the Sefer Yetzirah, he created the golem, which is a huge, like 7-foot thing, and used to release the golem at night. And he used to tell the golem, you patrol at night. So the golem used to patrol at night, and when he saw gatherings, now this guy did not have a neshama. He did not speak. And this golem was called Yosale. He did not speak. But when he saw something suspicious, the goyim grabbing somebody or trying to slaughter somebody or throwing something in the backyard, right away he would report or take action. Right? There's a famous story about the golem. The Maharal Miprag would put it to sleep every Friday before Shabbat. He didn't want to use them on Shabbat. Right? The goyim didn't do anything on Shabbat. And he didn't want, he says, Shabbat shomeret, Shabbat protects us. So one Friday, he forgot to put the golem to sleep. And the golem was not used to for Fridays. So what did he go? He was going around town breaking things. He was going around town. The Maharal Miprag accepted Shabbat already. He said already, Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat. He said, Lecha Dodi. He said, Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat. And then they told him, look what the golem is doing. If you leave him on Shabbat, he's going to destroy the whole city. The Maharal Miprag had no choice. He went right away. He said a few things, and he put him to sleep, right? On Shabbat. And Maharal Miprag says, because I was in the middle of receiving Shabbat, I didn't receive Shabbat yet. So what did he do? He recited over again, Mizmor Shir Yom Shabbat. Maran says there's two ways to receive Shabbat. Either you say, Boi Kala, Boi Kala, Boi Kala Shabbat Malketa, which is the last paragraph of the Lecha Dodi. Or you say Mizmor Shir Yom Shabbat entirely, and you receive Shabbat. The Maharal Miprag says, so since I did not finish Mizmor Shir Yom Shabbat, I did not receive Shabbat yet. He repeated again Mizmor Shir Yom Shabbat. Till today, Hasidim, certain Hasidim, have the custom to say Mizmor Shir Yom Shabbat twice. In Lezecher, to remember the story of the Maharal Miprag. Now this golem, if somebody would kill him, is Chayav Mishum Rotzeach? No. Because this thing doesn't have a neshama. Right? It walks, it follows commands. אבל זה לא נשמה. Right? Same thing. When you have a worm, when you have a creature like the veal that Avraham Avinu created, נכון? Avraham Avinu created a veal, נכון? Avraham Avinu created the veal, and he served the malachim basar bechalav, the veal with butter. Everybody asks how you say no. Sefer Yetzirah. This veal is parve. Yosef HaTzadik used to see his brothers eat sheeps in the country, in the mountains, without shchita. So right away, vayave Yosef dibatam ra'a el aviem. He used to come and report to his father, Abba, I don't know what happened to my brothers. They're eating animals without shchita. Rashi says it was lashon hara. The Torah says diba. It's lashon hara. Lama ze lashon hara? Because those sheep were not sheep. Those sheep were created from Sefer Yetzirah.
Fake.
So it's fake. Fake meat. It's soy meat, right? You don't have to slaughter it, right? You can eat it with milk also, right? Just marit ayin. So they tell you those worms created from cheese, from the moisture of the cheese, it's not reproduced from male and female, right? They're not considered worms. Living beings that it's on Shabbat shchita. So when you eat the cheese and you eat them also, right? You're allowed to eat them because they're like Sefer Yetzirah if you want, and also chewing them and killing them, they're not considered shchita. They're not really worms. You're not eating worm. Yeah, you're not eating. You're not eating the worm that Torah said not to eat.
It's from moisture, come from moisture, not
Right.
from the female male.
Exactly. You're not eating worm.
So, Rabbi, when are you giving a shiur on Sefer Yetzirah that we can create our own?
Bezrat Hashem, when you learn a bit more, you come to more classes. Tov. Last halakha over here. Somebody hurts an animal and blood came out of it. And he needs the blood. Chayav min Torah. According to the Torah, is responsible for it. He did an avera, the sin on Shabbat. Either mishum netilat neshama. Where's the nefesh found? Why does the Torah prohibits us to eat blood? Because they say the soul, a part of the soul of a person is in the blood. If a person, you take out his blood from his body, he won't be able to live. Why? He took out his soul. So the soul is found in the blood. Ki nefesh adam badam hi.
So is it true that Sephardi hold? Sorry, I'm taking a segue here. Sephardi hold that it's okay to not after you shech the cow. Let's say, is it okay to take the meat without making it kosher and just putting it over the fire and that will kosher?
Yes, everybody holds like this.
I thought the Ashkenaz say you have to put salt. You have to
That's by liver. By liver they put salt. But the fire is stronger than salt. Why do we put salt on a meat raw? To take out the blood, to suck the blood out, right? Fire can suck out blood much better than salt.
All you need is
The proof.
and then you just put it on the fire.
The proof, if you slaughter an animal and you don't salt it in the first 3 days, all the blood inside gets stuck to the meat, you won't be able to take it out anymore. With salt. What's the only thing that can suck it out? Fire. If you barbecue it, all the blood stuck inside, the salt cannot take it out, the fire could. Okay? As אומר לך, fire is much stronger than salt. So if you have meat that stayed 3 days, in the olden days, today is not so much, but in the olden days, they used to bring meat from Argentina with trains. So the meat will travel like 5, 6, 7 days. They didn't used to salt it, and then was a problem. So there was two ideas given. One idea is, if it's not salted, it has to be at least rinsed in the 3 days. If it's rinsed in the 3 days, you rinse it. The water keeps its moisture and doesn't let the blood stick to the meat. Right? This is one. Second idea is to freeze it. Rav Tzvi Pesach Frank said, if you freeze the meat, it wouldn't let the blood stick to the meat. So they used to bring in Israel meat from Argentina. It traveled like a week or something, right? Frozen. And then if it's frozen, you defrost it and you salt it, right? And then it's allowed. Okay, so there is so blood for us is not allowed because blood is neshama. So if you hit an animal to take the blood, why? They used to give, not us, not Jews, Goyim, they used to give their dogs blood of a cow. They used to eat a cow, make it bleed. They used to take the blood and give it to their dog to eat. Says somebody does it on Shabbat, chayav mishum netilat neshama. No, part of it, I said. The nefesh. The neshama has three parts: nefesh, ruach, neshama. The nefesh is in the blood. The nefesh is usually in the liver, in the blood. The nefesh is in the liver, the blood source, right? So all the nefesh is traveling into your blood, Okay. Then you have ruach in your heart, and then you have neshama in your brain. So the neshama divides in three parts. So the nefesh part is in the liver, where all the blood circulates. So you're taking out blood on Shabbat of an animal, it's considered tilat neshama, which you're not allowed, right?
What about German roaches? It doesn't have a blood. German roaches doesn't have blood.
I don't know what's German roaches.
When we have the common that they hate in the.
Oh, the big ones?
Yeah, the little one. Everybody has it. The German. The little
Ah,
one.
the little ones, okay. Okay, why you call?
Allowed to? Also not allowed.
No, because they reproduce from male and female. It's not the blood or not blood, right? They reproduce from male and female, so it's a problem. You know, right?
Unless
Yeah,
you
you have to.
spray it from the Sefer Yetzirah.
Exactly. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.